I laid there on the cold concrete, pain shooting up my side, while my grandson stood a few feet away, laughing. He didn't help. He didn't ask if I was okay. He just lifted his phone and hit record. Later, he posted it online with the caption, "Watch Grandma break." What he didn't know was, I'd been broken before. This time, I hit record too, and the video I posted next shattered everything he thought he could get away with. Wait, before we go any further, I gotta ask, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. The morning light hadn't yet cut through the overcast sky when Eleanor Price unlocked her front door. The porch glistened faintly with a thin sheen of early dew, barely visible unless you knew to look. She didn't. Not this morning. She stepped out with a bag of old magazines meant for the recycling bin, her cardigan pulled tight against the chill. Her foot hit the top step, then slid. It happened fast but felt slow. The world tipped. Her balance vanished. The bag flew from her hand, and gravity yanked her down the steps like a rag doll. She hit the bottom with a bone-deep thud, her elbow scraping hard against the cement, her hip catching the edge of the final step. A sharp cry tore from her throat, then silence, except for the sound of a phone recording. "Yo!" Tyler's voice, bright and disgusting. She really wiped out. Eleanor blinked up, pain blossoming through her side. Her grandson stood at the top of the steps, phone held high, grinning like he was filming a prank video. Not his own grandmother sprawled on concrete. "You okay, Grandma?" he said between chuckles, not moving an inch to help. "Hold up. Let me get that in slow motion. This is gold." She couldn't speak, couldn't move. She turned her head and saw the neighbor's flag swaying gently in the wind, the sound of birds somewhere distant and completely inappropriate. Her breath came in short gasps. By the time Tyler strolled down to her, still filming, the worst of the pain had settled like a knot behind her ribs. His hand didn't reach for hers. Instead, he leaned in with a smirk. "You all right? Say something for the camera." She pushed herself up slowly, biting back a groan. "Turn that off." But he already had what he wanted. Later, after an urgent care visit revealed a bruised rib and a strained wrist, Eleanor sat stiffly on her recliner with a heating pad across her back. Her phone pinged 3 times in quick succession. She checked. A text from Gloria. "Eleanor, tell me you haven't seen it beneath it." A link to a video on a social app she barely used. The thumbnail was unmistakable. Her own body mid-fall, frozen in a grotesque blurred still frame. The title in blocky white font, "Watch Grandma Break." Her hand trembled. She tapped the video. It played in vertical format, shaky but clear. Her stumble, her collapse, Tyler's idiotic voice narrating, laughing, even zooming in on her limp arm at the end like she was a meme. Below it, thousands of hearts, laughing emojis, comments. OMG, she straight up disintegrated. "Bro, this got me dead." "Yo, what's she made of, Legos?" "Damn, this is elder abuse, but I can't stop watching." The breath left her lungs in a slow, tight exhale. Her own grandson had turned her pain into content. For likes, for laughs, for clout. She felt the humiliation crack through her like ice underfoot. Not just the fall, but the spectacle. The world watching, mocking. The front door creaked open. "Eleanor?" Gloria's voice. She entered without waiting, clutching her phone like a weapon. Her eyes were wild with fury. "I told you not to look." "I had to," Eleanor said quietly. "It's me. It's me falling." Gloria sat beside her, took her hand. "They think you're weak," she whispered, her voice tight. "But I know better. You know better. You don't hide from this, Eleanor. You save it." Eleanor didn't reply. She stared at the paused video on her phone screen, her face frozen in pain, the overlay of laughing emojis. Then she did something that surprised even herself. She tapped "Save to camera roll." Her finger hovered, then tapped again. "Save to files." Gloria glanced sideways. "What are you doing?" Eleanor's voice was calm, measured, cold, keeping the receipt. The living room was quiet, but Eleanor's mind wasn't. It hadn't been since the video. She sat at her old roll-top desk, a cup of black tea cooling beside her keyboard. Outside, the neighborhood dogs barked at squirrels, and someone's lawnmower droned faintly in the background. Normal life. But inside her, something had changed. She opened her laptop, clicked the browser, logged in. The social media site's interface felt foreign, clunky. She hadn't used it in over a year. back when she still shared the occasional library fundraiser post, but her profile was still there. Eleanor P., retired librarian, Columbus, Ohio. She took a deep breath and clicked upload. Then she stood and walked to the bookshelf near the window. She removed a small flash drive from a ceramic bowl shaped like an owl. Gloria's idea. Owl for wisdom, she'd said. At the time, it felt quaint. Now, it felt tactical. The flash drive contained a folder of videos she'd quietly recorded during her volunteer shifts at the public library, her reading to kids, helping teenagers fill out college applications, organizing donations, even guiding an ESL group through their first library card registration. Nothing flashy, just real. She selected 3 clips and stitched them together using basic video software. No music, no filters, just Eleanor's steady voice in the final second. My name is Eleanor Price. I am 72 years old. I took a fall last week, but I am not broken. She uploaded it. No hashtags, no dramatic caption, just the truth. Then she closed the laptop and left it alone. By evening, the video had quietly found its way into corners of the internet Tyler didn't care to visit: parent forums, elder advocacy pages, and local news comment threads. It started with a single message in Eleanor's inbox. My mother's going through something similar. Thank you for sharing this. Then another. You reminded me that aging doesn't mean erasing. And then it began spreading faster. Gloria brought over dinner and nearly dropped the casserole dish when she saw the screen. 48,000 views, she whispered. And climbing? Eleanor simply nodded. People don't want a punchline every time. Sometimes they want proof. Just as she spoke, the front door burst open. Tyler stormed in, still wearing his varsity hoodie, the headphones hanging loose around his neck. He passed the living room, then stopped, squinting at the screen. Wait, you posted a video? His laugh was instant, sharp. God, that's what this is about? You think you're gonna go viral for reading books to babies? Gloria stiffened. Keep walking, Tyler. But Eleanor didn't flinch. She didn't even look at him. Tyler stepped closer, smirking. You're not beating me at my own game. You're boring, Grandma. People don't care unless it's funny. And you? You're just content waiting to happen. Still, Eleanor said nothing. She minimized the window and took a slow sip of tea. Tyler rolled his eyes. Whatever. Have fun chasing my scraps. He left. The door slammed a little harder than necessary. Gloria turned to Eleanor, still quiet. Why didn't you say anything? Eleanor placed the mug down. Because silence isn't surrender. Gloria smiled tightly. No, it's setup. Don't waste it. Eleanor didn't plan to. That night she started her system. She opened a new folder on her desktop. Tyler. Patterns. Every video. Every story post. Every disappearing snap. She began screen recording anything that mocked, humiliated, or crossed a line. Dated them. Organized them by tone. Mocking. Taunting. Humiliating. Threatening. She found 5 new videos in just the last month. In one, Tyler held up her outdated phone and snorted, "This thing belongs in a museum." In another, he panned to her recliner. And this? Welcome to Jurassic Park. No physical harm. No explicit threats, but layered, cruel, and constant. She took notes, carefully, logically. Intent matters, she wrote in the margins of her printed screenshots. So does pattern. By midnight, her folder had grown to 22 files. She saved one more and leaned back in the chair. The glow of the laptop lit her face softly. Then came a notification. Another message from someone she didn't know. You inspired me today. Thank you for showing the internet something worth watching. Eleanor read it twice, then clicked her phone's voice recorder. She whispered calmly, into the mic. Let them keep laughing. I'll keep the receipts. The kitchen smelled like rosemary and something faintly burnt. Megan's attempt at a weeknight roast. Eleanor sat at the far end of the table, methodically slicing her overcooked chicken breast into manageable bites. Her wrist ached faintly from the fall, but she ignored it. Across the table, Tyler scrolled on his phone, one AirPod in, the other dangling loose. He hadn't spoken directly to Eleanor all evening, not since the video she'd posted went unexpectedly viral. James glanced up from his plate. So, good news at work today. Projects ahead of schedule. Should get next Friday off. That's great, babe, Megan said without looking up from her glass of red. We could do a weekend away. Maybe, James said. Mom, you good with that? Eleanor didn't answer immediately. She'd started to cough. Not violently, just a dry, persistent throat catch that came from swallowing too quickly. She reached for her napkin, dabbed her mouth, and took a sip of water. Tyler looked up, phone already in his hand, tilted at an angle she knew too well. "Here we go," he muttered, thumb tapping fast. Eleanor caught the faint shutter sound. He was recording again. She straightened slightly but said nothing. When the coughing subsided, she resumed eating. The air around the table had cooled somehow, the conversation slipping through cracks. By the time she'd cleared her plate and rinsed it in the sink, Tyler had already vanished into his room. She didn't think much more about it until later that night. She was on the couch, wrapped in her Afghan, scrolling through her folder of archived Tyler content, when Gloria called. "Check his page," her friend said, voice tight. Eleanor opened the app, bracing herself. There it was, less than 20 minutes old. Video title, "Machine Grandma Can't Even Chew." The clip opened mid-meal. Eleanor caught mid-cough, her eyes watering slightly. Tyler had edited in robotic sound effects, her chewing looped and distorted, overlaid with a voice filter that said, "System malfunction. Old unit requires reboot." It was cruel. Worse, it was casual, effortless, like she'd become a running joke in someone else's comedy channel. She stared at it in silence. 15,000 views, hundreds of comments. "La Mao Shi, buffering far. Someone get the antivirus. Grandma.exe has stopped responding. Is elder abuse this funny, or is it just me?" Her hand curled slightly on the armrest, veins rising in sharp blue relief. The fury was there, but distant, like heat behind glass. From the hallway came James's voice. "Tyler, what the hell is this? You recorded her again?" Eleanor didn't move. She kept reading. Tyler's voice rose. "It's just a joke, Dad. It's not that deep. It's not funny," James said. "Take it down." Megan's voice floated in next, exasperated. "James, come on. It's not like he hit her. He's a teenager. This is what they do." "This is not normal," James snapped. "He's treating his grandmother like a YouTube punchline." "Can we not make everything a drama?" Megan said. "If you're so worried, ask her. She's fine, right?" Eleanor stood slowly, her joints stiff. She didn't step into the hallway. She didn't say a word. She just turned, walked to her desk, opened her laptop, and saved the video. Then she started scrolling through the comments. Screenshot. Screenshot. Save. Each one had a time and a name. Each one showed something bigger than Tyler. "This is what they do," Megan had said. Number. "This is what he does." And she was documenting everything. Gloria arrived 10 minutes later with peppermint tea and fire in her eyes. "He did it again, didn't he?" Eleanor nodded once. Gloria set the tea down. "We make him choke on his own footage." Eleanor didn't smile. "I'm not ready yet." Gloria watched her tap and save, tap and save. "Careful," she said. "This level of calm?" "It's terrifying." Eleanor opened a new folder inside the original one. Comments, context. She labeled the file, 3_dinner humiliation _coughbot.mp4. Then she spoke without looking up. "I'm not angry. I'm assembling his legacy." The Columbus police station didn't look like the movies. No buzzing fluorescent lights, no ringing phones, just a quiet hum of printers and murmured conversation, and a plastic plant that leaned tiredly in the corner. Eleanor sat in a hard chair outside the cybercrimes unit, hands folded neatly in her lap. She wore a slate gray coat, her wedding ring tucked into her purse, and a scarf Gloria insisted made her look credible and fierce. Her bruised wrist ached, but she hadn't taken Tylenol. She wanted the discomfort. She wanted to remember. The door opened. A woman in slacks and a navy windbreaker stepped out, holding a tablet. "Eleanor Price?" Eleanor stood. "Yes, I'm Officer Holt. Come on back." The office was warmer than the hallway, but not by much. A corkboard lined one wall, sticky notes and digital printouts of internet scams and fraud rings. In the center, a sign that read, "Screenshots greater than stories." Officer Dana Holt gestured for her to sit. "I read your intake form, saw some of the video links you attached. Thank you for coming in." Eleanor nodded, calm and firm. "I'm not here because I'm fragile. I'm here because I've been targeted." Holt looked up from her tablet, studying her. "And because you have evidence." Eleanor pulled a manila envelope from her purse. Inside were color printouts of video titles, screen-capped comments, timestamps, and her own typed annotations. She slid it across the desk like a lawyer might hand over a case file. Holt flipped through it, eyebrows arching slightly. Wow. Most people bring a story and a broken phone. You brought receipts. I learned from librarianship, Eleanor said, folding her hands again. You catalog everything, especially cruelty. Holt looked at one video still. The Coughbot edit. This, she said, tapping the image, is harassment. And depending on how many of these are public-facing and monetized, we could be looking at exploitation too. Eleanor tilted her head. Even from a 17-year-old? Especially, Holt replied. Minors get a little grace, but not immunity. What he's doing falls into cyberbullying at a minimum, and we've seen cases prosecuted when there's a repeated pattern targeting a vulnerable individual. Which you now have, Eleanor said, nodding toward the folder. Holt smiled faintly. You're not new to strategy, I see. I don't post impulsively. He does. The room fell quiet for a beat. Then Holt leaned forward, clasping her hands. Here's my advice. Keep gathering. Don't confront. Document everything. Escalate only with structure. And don't underestimate how fast this kind of digital behavior snowballs. I already made folders, Eleanor said. Make another, Holt said. One that's just for court if it comes to that. Something tighter? Eleanor hesitated. What should I call it? Holt grinned. Something you'll remember. Something that reminds you you're not helpless. Eleanor looked down, then back up, her voice steady. Receipts. That afternoon, Gloria came over with 3 thumb drives and a cinnamon bun the size of a steering wheel. This is therapy food, she announced, dropping her purse with a thud. Now move. We're backing up everything twice. They worked side by side at Eleanor's desk, screens lit, folders labeled. Gloria narrated as she clicked. Okay, so we have Tyler, patterns, comments, context, and now, receipts. I'm adding encryption. You're about to become NSA, Grandma Eleanor chuckled under her breath. But under the humor, there was steel. They logged clips, trimmed duplicates, and printed the worst comments with usernames and timestamps. They added one tab titled In Action, where Eleanor noted every time Megan or James deflected or ignored Tyler's behavior. Just in case, she said simply, it's not just what happened, it's what they allow. Gloria looked at her, admiration mixed with something deeper. You're building a digital war chest. Eleanor nodded once. He wanted to go viral. Let's give him the legal kind of fame, Gloria leaned back. I'd pay to see his face when the cops show up. Eleanor's tone sharpened, quiet, but certain. I'm not stopping at cops. It was almost midnight when Eleanor began dragging files into the project timeline. The glow from her monitor cast deep shadows across the walls, giving her modest living room the feel of a war room. Gloria had gone home hours earlier, but Eleanor remained at the desk, focused, methodical. Her breathing was steady. Her fingers moved with precision. One by one, she selected the clips. The porch fall, the dinner cough, the Jurassic Park joke, the museum phone comment, the bathroom mirror post. She trimmed nothing. Left in every snort, every zoom in, every hashtag. She wanted it raw. Let them see the casualness of it all. The pattern, the escalation, the sick grin. She opened a blank voiceover track, paused, then hit record. This is my grandson. She let the words hang. His name is Tyler Price. He is 17 years old. He has filmed me falling. He has mocked me coughing. He has posted over a dozen videos turning my pain, my age, my existence, into entertainment. He did not do this in secret. He did it with a smile, with music, with captions. She kept her tone calm, like she was giving a library orientation. Some people say this is just how teenagers behave online. I disagree. She added a soft fade to black. No music, just the silence at the end of her voice. Then she titled the final frame, When Cruelty is Content, Accountability is Response. She stared at it for a long moment, then clicked Upload. By morning, the storm had begun. She woke to 117 notifications. By noon, it was thousands. The video spread fast, not because it was shocking, but because it was familiar. People recognized the tone, the manipulation, the generational entitlement, and they were tired of it. Comments poured in. My son filmed my dad falling last year. I never forgave myself for laughing. I thought this was satire. Then I realized it's real. And worse, common. This woman is braver than 90% of the internet. Eleanor sat on the porch with a blanket wrapped around her legs, tea in hand. watching the numbers rise. Tyler hadn't emerged from his room all morning. Megan had slammed the front door before 9 a.m. without a word. James was at work, unaware. By 3 p.m., the clip had been shared on Reddit, picked up by a mid-tier digital news site, and tagged by several parent advocacy pages. Then came the turn. A classmate posted, "This is Tyler Price from Northland High. He made fun of his own grandma going viral for falling. Hope it was worth it, bro." Another, "He filmed her coughing and added robot sounds. Who does that?" Eleanor didn't reply, didn't like or comment. She simply watched. By 6 p.m., the tone had shifted in Tyler's corner of the internet. His latest post, an attempt at damage control, was flooded with laughing emojis and barbed remarks. "Didn't age well, huh? You fumbled the whole internet. My guy. She's winning. You're trending for all the wrong reasons." Gloria arrived just before sunset, breathless, holding up her phone. "It's everywhere. He's tanking." Eleanor didn't stand, just looked over her glasses and said, "It had to be his footage. I wanted them to see what he thought was funny." Gloria nodded, stunned. "They did, and they're pissed." They sat on the porch in silence for a while. The wind rustled the leaves. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. "I thought I'd feel guiltier," Eleanor murmured, eyes on the horizon. "Why would you?" Gloria said. Eleanor looked down at the comments still buzzing on her screen. "Break me?" she whispered. She looked up. "Watch yourself shatter." The door slammed hard enough to rattle the hallway mirror. Eleanor didn't flinch. Tyler stormed into the living room, hoodie half off, face flushed with rage and something harder to name, fear. His phone was clutched in one fist, screen still lit with angry comments. He hadn't shaved in days, and the cocky sneer he always wore online was gone. "You need to delete it," he snapped. Eleanor looked up from her knitting, eyes clear behind her reading glasses. "No." Tyler stepped closer. "I'm serious. This isn't funny anymore." "It never was," she replied. He stood over her, chest heaving. "You've embarrassed me in front of my whole school. You've ruined my life." "You uploaded the footage," she said quietly. "I gave it context. You twisted it. I left it untouched." His mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "You're blowing this out of proportion. You're ruining everything over a couple jokes." Eleanor set her needles down. "This isn't about jokes, Tyler. It's about a pattern of humiliation. And now, consequences." Megan appeared in the doorway, heels in one hand, clearly just back from work. "What's going on now?" "Grandma won't take down the video," Tyler said, voice rising. "She's making me look like a monster." Megan sighed. "Eleanor, come on. He's just a kid. He's old enough to bully." Eleanor said calmly. "He's old enough to answer for it." Megan's jaw tensed. "You're making a mess out of a family issue in front of the entire world." Eleanor stood now, slow but certain. "No. Tyler made this public when he posted the first video. I'm not starting anything. I'm finishing it." A sudden tension thickened the air like a storm cloud forming in the ceiling. James walked in from the kitchen holding a half-finished sandwich. "Wait, what video?" All three turned. Tyler turned pale. "You didn't tell him?" Eleanor asked Megan. "I was going to," she said defensively. "I just didn't want to." "What video?" James repeated, his voice firmer now. Eleanor walked over to her laptop, tapped the keyboard. The screen woke to the paused frame of her now viral compilation. Tyler laughing as she lay bruised at the bottom of the stairs. James's face changed, confusion collapsing into something darker. "Jesus! Delete it!" Tyler shouted again, louder this time, stepping toward her. "Back up!" Gloria's voice cut through from the doorway. She had slipped in during the chaos, quietly filming with her phone held low, lens angled toward the unfolding disaster. No one had noticed her until now. "I'm recording for her protection," Gloria added. "Keep your hands to yourself." "Are you serious?" Megan barked. "You're filming this?" "No more secrets," Gloria replied. "You're all insane," Tyler growled. "She's the problem. Not me." He kicked the edge of the coffee table, hard. A mug crashed to the floor. Glass splintered across the rug. James moved between his son and Eleanor. "That's enough." But Tyler wasn't done. His face twisted. He grabbed a nearby dining chair, white-knuckled it, and flung it sideways across the room. The crash was deafening. Wood cracked against the wall, leaving a dent. A framed picture fell and shattered. Silence followed. Eleanor didn't move. Gloria reached into her coat pocket. "I'm calling the police." Megan rushed forward. "No." Stop, he's just upset. He didn't mean. He meant it, Eleanor said, eyes locked on Tyler. And you can't protect him from this anymore. I'm calling Officer Holt, Gloria said, phone to her ear. I have everything recorded. James stood frozen, hands at his sides, his face hollowed by disbelief. And Tyler? He backed toward the stairs, wild-eyed now. You ruined everything, he said again, but this time the edge was gone. It wasn't rage anymore, it was panic. Eleanor walked to the shattered mug and calmly picked up the largest piece. She turned it in her palm like a relic. Nothing's ruined, she said. It's just finally visible. The envelope came on a Monday, pale yellow, hand-delivered, marked confidential in blocky red type across the front. It was slid through the mail slot in silence, like a warning dressed as paperwork. Eleanor found it an hour later, resting beneath the front rug. She bent slowly, picked it up, and turned it over in her hands before breaking the seal. Inside, the formal language didn't bother her. What did? The fact that it was real. Franklin County Juvenile Court, R.E. Notice of hearing subject, Tyler Price charges, harassment, digital, disorderly conduct, domestic disturbance, emotional endangerment of a vulnerable adult. Date of appearance, September 22nd. Location, Juvenile Division, Courtroom, C. She read it twice, then set it neatly on the dining table. Her tea had gone cold. 2 hours later, Megan was pounding on the front door like a SWAT team. You think this is justice? She shouted from the porch. Dragging your own grandson into court? Eleanor didn't rise. She'd been expecting this. Megan pushed her way in, heels sharp on the hardwood, fury shaking every syllable. Do you know what this does to a college application? To his record? You want him locked up? Eleanor kept her voice calm. I want him to learn. Oh, save the moral lecture, Megan snapped. You think you're a hero because you edited a TikTok together? You've humiliated this family. No, Eleanor said. He did that. I just stopped hiding it. Megan laughed, bitter and loud. You think they care about some sweet old lady with a binder full of YouTube screenshots? They'll throw it out and say it's a parenting issue. Then the parenting can be reviewed too, Eleanor replied. Just then, James walked in, tie loosened, briefcase still in hand. He froze at the sound of their voices. Tell her! Megan turned to him furious. Tell her this has gone too far. James looked at Eleanor. She didn't speak. Then he turned to his wife and said nothing. Megan blinked. You're siding with her? I don't know what I'm doing, he muttered. But I saw that video, Megan. And I saw our son throw a chair at his grandmother, and I didn't recognize him. You're being manipulated, she hissed. She's playing you. She didn't need to, James said. Tyler did that on his own. Megan's face crumpled into something fractured, too proud to cry, too stubborn to back down. She turned, stormed out, slamming the door so hard it shook the frame. Eleanor exhaled slowly, like setting down something heavy. James lingered. Are you really going through with this? She nodded once. He rubbed a hand across his face. God help us. That night, Gloria brought over 3 fresh packs of printer paper and a double bottle of ibuprofen. Trial prep, she said, dropping them on the table. Let's get started. Eleanor opened the laptop, navigated to the folder labeled Receipts, and began printing. They sorted clips into chronological sections, added typed statements, screenshots, backups, a timeline. She labeled each tab with color-coded stickers, her handwriting steady and neat. She didn't rush. Each binder had a spine label. Exhibit A, pattern of behavior. Exhibit B, escalation exhibit. C, parental neglect. This, Gloria said, flipping through a stack of printed DMs, is a masterclass in controlled fury. Just clarity, Eleanor replied. I want the truth sharper than their excuses. At 10:15 p.m., her phone buzzed with a call from an unfamiliar number. She answered. Mrs. Price? Came a warm, steady voice. My name is Rachel Dupree. Officer Holt passed your case to our Elder Legal Division. I'm an attorney with the Franklin County Pro Bono Elder Rights Initiative. May I speak with you about representation? Eleanor closed her binder gently. Yes, she said. You may. They met the next morning at a small law office near Broad Street. Rachel Dupree was a woman in her 60s with salt and pepper braids and a courtroom stillness that didn't need to raise its voice to fill a room. She read through the files, asked a few sharp questions, took notes without smiling. Then she looked Eleanor in the eye and said, "You have every legal right to be in that courtroom, and more than enough to be believed." Eleanor nodded, slow and quiet. "I'm not looking for vengeance," she said. Rachel raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" Eleanor considered that for a moment, then gave a small smile. "I'm looking for reckoning." The apology dropped on a Tuesday. Tyler filmed it in his room. LED lights dimmed to a soft blue, hoodie zipped up, eyes cast downward in a performance of shame. "Hey everyone. I just wanted to say, I didn't realize how bad it looked. I was just joking. I love my grandma. This is all blown way out of proportion, but I'm sorry if it offended people." He ended with a half smile, a shrug, like he'd just missed curfew, not launched a digital campaign of humiliation. Eleanor watched it in silence from her laptop, the sound echoing softly through the study. She didn't blink, just clicked, save video, then export, transcript, then added the file to the folder labeled Exhibit D, Damage Control Attempts. She labeled the file mock apology underscore Tyler underscore 9-16.mp4. Blown out of proportion, she repeated under her breath, like testing the acidity of the words. By noon, the backlash was worse. "Dude said sorry if I offended, like that's an apology. Where's the part where you mention your grandma breaking her wrist?" "Nah, this is PR, not regret." His comment section turned feral. Even his old allies, classmates who once laughed along, had turned cold. Eleanor didn't celebrate, she filed it. That afternoon, Rachel Dupree arrived with 2 legal pads, a red pen, and an energy bar she never touched. "We need to work through your courtroom testimony," she said, already flipping open her folder. "Direct and cross. They'll try to paint this as a misunderstanding, maybe even a generational gap." Eleanor adjusted her glasses. "It wasn't misunderstanding. It was intent." Rachel nodded. "Then say that. But not with fire. With fact." They ran through question after question. "Did you ever ask him to stop?" "Yes." He laughed. "Did you feel unsafe?" "I felt disposable." "Why didn't you delete your account?" "Why should I delete myself?" Rachel underlined that one. Twice. "Good," she said. "Use that exact line." That evening, Gloria pulled into the driveway with 2 chairs strapped to the roof of her Subaru and a bag of cough drops in her pocket. "Mock trial," she announced, hauling everything onto the porch. "You're testifying to me, honey. I'm gonna be meaner than the real thing they practiced until the sky turned orange." Gloria asked questions like a defense attorney with something to prove, jabbing and interrupting, forcing Eleanor to pause, recalibrate, deliver truth like glass through velvet. Eleanor didn't stammer, didn't soften. At one point, Gloria paused. "They'll expect tears." "I won't cry," Eleanor said, voice like stone. "I'll cut." Gloria nodded once and didn't say another word for the rest of the session. Later, as the cicadas buzzed in the trees and the neighborhood quieted, James stepped out from his car and walked slowly toward the porch. Eleanor didn't rise. He sat in the second chair, Gloria's. "I saw the video," he said. "The new one. With him pretending he's the victim." Eleanor kept her gaze on the street. "You believed it?" "No," he said quickly. "But part of me wanted to. Because the alternative is..." I raised that. She didn't speak. James looked down at his hands. "I'm sorry, Mom, for not seeing it sooner, for letting Megan talk over you, for choosing comfort instead of truth." She finally turned to him. "This isn't about sorry," she said softly. "It's about change." James nodded slowly, ashamed. Then Eleanor added, "And change only counts when it costs something." He swallowed. "It's costing a lot." Eleanor didn't argue. She simply turned back toward the night. The Northland High Auditorium smelled like floor polish and old paper programs. Fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above, and folding chairs creaked with every slight shift of weight. The long table at the front held nameplates for the school board, the principal, and the district superintendent. Eleanor sat in the second row, a notepad in her lap. She didn't plan to speak tonight. She didn't have to. The seats were packed. Parents had shown up. So had students. A few were live streaming. Several wore shirts that said, "Protect our elders, speak up, not film down." A local news station had quietly rolled in a camera on wheels. The room was heavy with murmurs and phone screens glowing in laps. Eleanor folded her hands. The principal, a broad-shouldered man with a comb-over and a nervous smile, tapped his microphone. We'd like to call this special session to order regarding recent online conduct by a student at Northland High. Before he could finish, a woman in the fourth row stood up. My daughter had your student in her group project, she said. He reposted her private video to a meme page. You never did anything, another parent rose. He filmed my father at a Veterans Day assembly and added sound effects. That video is still online. Gasps, murmurs. The chairperson tried to calm the room, but the wave had already started. I'm sorry, the principal said, flustered. We've begun a review process. You only started because one grandmother stood up for herself, someone else shouted. All eyes turned to Eleanor. She didn't move, just met the stares evenly. The superintendent leaned into her mic, trying to restore order. We're aware of the video and the broader implications. A decision has been made. The principal cleared his throat. Effective immediately, Tyler Price is suspended from all extracurricular activities, including varsity sports, student council, and media club. He is on behavioral probation for the remainder of the year, pending further review. From the back of the room, a sharp voice cut through the tension. This is character assassination. Megan. She stepped into view, arms folded, lip curled in disdain. He's 17? You're crucifying a child because your system has no backbone. If you had done your job, any of you, he wouldn't have had a platform to begin with. The principal tried to reply. Megan kept talking. You're cowards. All of you. And you. She pointed at Eleanor, her voice venomous. You let strangers online decide how your family should be punished. You're not strong. You're vindictive, Gloria. Sitting beside Eleanor, shifted but didn't stand. She just whispered, You hear that? Eleanor didn't answer. She's not defending him, Gloria said softly. She's blaming everyone else because she's run out of ways to pretend he didn't get it from her. A few rows up, James stood. The room quieted. He stepped into the aisle. My son needs help. Not just discipline, but don't mistake that for disagreement. He looked around the room, then directly at the board. I support the school's decision, and I'll do more at home than I've done before. His voice cracked, just once. And I'm sorry. The words landed like a stone dropped in still water. Eleanor didn't look at him. She didn't need to. She was watching the faces of the room instead, watching how silence could speak louder than any plea, any denial, watching how people turn toward truth once someone else has the courage to hold it in place long enough. Outside, the air was cool. Night had settled over Columbus like a weighted blanket, slow and steady. Eleanor and Gloria walked to the car in silence. When they reached it, Gloria leaned against the passenger side door, arms crossed. You know what the real twist is? She said finally. Eleanor looked up. He wanted an audience, Gloria said. And now he's got one. Courtroom C smelled faintly of old upholstery and cold coffee. The kind of room designed to make everyone feel small, regardless of the truth they carried in. Eleanor sat at the petitioner's table, her back straight, a thin stack of binders arranged in front of her like armor. Rachel Dupree sat beside her, impeccably composed, glasses perched low on her nose, tapping a yellow legal pad with a capped pen. Across the aisle sat Tyler, hunched and pale in a dress shirt that didn't quite fit, the collar too stiff, the sleeves too long. His attorney, young, eager, and just cocky enough to forget where he was, flipped through a tablet, whispering occasionally in Tyler's ear. Megan sat directly behind them, arms folded, lips pursed in furious solidarity. James sat 3 rows back, alone. The bailiff announced the judge's entrance. Everyone stood. Judge Alan Covington entered briskly, gray hair, heavy eyes, and a reputation for giving kids second chances, but only when they asked for them with open hands, not clenched fists. He settled behind the bench. Case number 2189J, Eleanor Price versus Tyler Price. The air stiffened. Let's begin. The defense went first. Tyler's attorney stood confidently, speaking with the rehearsed cadence of someone trying to charm the room. Your Honor, this is a case of misunderstanding, of context stripped by virality. My client is a 17-year-old high school student, raised in the digital generation. The videos in question were exaggerated for laughs, not meant to harm. He's apologized publicly and is prepared to do so again in this room. The judge didn't move. Are you arguing that these posts were jokes? Yes, Your Honor. Juvenile, perhaps, but not malicious, satirical, even affectionate. In a twisted way, Rachel didn't rise immediately. She let silence breathe. In the room. Then she stood. Slowly. Your Honor, with the court's permission, we'd like to play a short video. Miss Price's evidence speaks louder than any argument I could make. The judge nodded. Proceed. Rachel connected the laptop to the courtroom monitor. One keystroke. The screen brightened. The first clip played. Eleanor falling down the porch steps, Tyler's laugh rising behind the camera. Then the dinner cough, robot sounds, mocking edits, meme captions, the recliner labeled Jurassic Park, the phone called a museum exhibit, laughter, zooms, music, hashtags. Over it all, Eleanor's voice, calm and unshaken. This is my grandson. He filmed these, he posted these, he read the comments, and then he posted again. By the time it ended, the room was silent but electric, like the air before a storm breaks. The judge leaned forward, elbows on the bench. This was public? Yes, Your Honor, Rachel replied. Each video received thousands of views, one of them over 2 million. He added captions, filters, and effects. He engaged with the comments. Many mocked Miss Price's age, her body, and her cognitive ability. And the origin footage? Who captured it? Mr. Miss Price, on his phone, in his home. Without consent, the judge turned to Tyler. Tyler didn't meet his gaze. Son, Covington said slowly, this isn't content. This is character, and it doesn't speak well of yours? Tyler shifted in his seat. I didn't mean for it to get out of hand, Rachel interjected gently. Miss Price would now like to give her testimony. The judge nodded. Eleanor stood. No tears, no tremble, just measured strength. I've worked with children for over 40 years, she began, at libraries, schools, and shelters. I've never expected perfection, but I've always believed in accountability. She glanced toward Tyler, not as a victim, but as a witness to what he'd become. He filmed me when I was hurt. He laughed when I asked him to stop. He read what people said about me, then gave them more. I'm not here to ruin his life. I'm here because he tried to make a joke out of mine. The judge blinked slowly, his face unreadable. Rachel sat again. Officer Holt is present, Your Honor, she said. She can speak to the pattern. From the back row, Officer Dana Holt stood. Uniform crisp, voice steady. We reviewed all content, cross-referenced dates, and confirmed a pattern of targeted humiliation over several months. It meets the legal definition of digital harassment, with supporting evidence of emotional endangerment. Covington exhaled deeply, rubbing the bridge of his nose. This, he said, voice sharp now, is not a joke anymore. This is not an internet spat or a teenage phase. This is a pattern, a cruelty carved into content. He looked at Tyler. You wanted to go viral? Well, you did. And now you're viral in a courtroom. By Friday, the school parking lot felt colder than usual, not because of the weather, but because of Tyler Price's walk from his car to the front doors. No one said his name out loud anymore. They just looked. Eyes darted away. Conversations slowed when he passed. Group chats he used to dominate had fallen silent. His locker, once surrounded by teammates and girls with iPhones, now sat untouched, like a relic. He tried to act unbothered. AirPods in, hoodie up, head down. But the silence was worse than any insults. One guy from his soccer team muttered, "You did her dirty, bro," just loud enough for him to hear. Tyler didn't reply. He couldn't. His Snapchat streaks had vanished. Group threads disappeared. A few old friends had even blocked him. Worse than isolation, he had become the punchline of his own punchline, the kid who posted "Watch Grandma Break" and ended up breaking his own reputation. At home, the silence was worse. Megan barely left her room. Her texts to the school board, the district, the court, unanswered. Her rants on Facebook had been quietly flagged for inflammatory content. Even her church group chat had stopped responding. She walked through the house like a shadow. No music, no wine, just silence and simmering rage. James spent more evenings at Eleanor's house now, not saying much, just existing near her. Sometimes he fixed the porch light or replaced the batteries in her smoke detectors without being asked. Sometimes he sat on the porch with her and said nothing at all. I don't know what to do with him, he said once, voice gravelly. You start with what not to do, Eleanor replied. Don't defend what you wouldn't excuse from a stranger. James nodded slowly, staring out at the street. Fair. Meanwhile, Eleanor kept posting. but not about Tyler. She posted short clips of herself reading children's books in soothing tones, recommending memoirs, showing how to scan photos into digital archives. She talked about memory and resilience, about surviving grief and outlasting bitterness, about how being heard doesn't require shouting. Her following grew. First, it was retired teachers, then mothers, then former librarians, aging veterans, stroke survivors, high school counselors. Her inbox filled with thank you, with me too's, with I needed this. One comment stood out. You took a fall and stood taller than most people ever do. Gloria printed it, laminated it, and stuck it on Eleanor's fridge. You know what this is, right? Gloria said one afternoon, while folding newsletters for Eleanor's speaking event. What? A blueprint. Eleanor looked up from her desk. For what? Gloria smiled, her voice soft. For how to build instead of break. One night, Eleanor posted a short video, a quiet monologue in her garden, dusk fading behind her. You can make cruelty go viral, she said into the camera, but kindness, when done right, can root itself deeper. It doesn't need 1 million views, just one person willing to live differently because of it. She ended with a soft smile and a closing phrase. We don't get to control how we're seen, but we do get to control what we leave behind. By morning, it had over 500,000 views. That evening, Gloria knocked on her front door with 2 coffees and a bag of pumpkin muffins. Got room for one more strategy session? She asked. Eleanor laughed. I thought we were done building. Gloria sat, kicked off her shoes, and said, You're not breaking, you're building. And the world's finally watching for the right reasons. Eleanor didn't reply. She just opened a new document titled, The Long Game. The camera crew arrived just before noon. Not a swarm, just 2 people. A local reporter named Layla Chen, soft-spoken but sharp-eyed, and a cameraman named Doug who wore sneakers too clean for how old they were. No boom mics, no flashy setup, just a single tripod, a clip-on lav mic, and the weight of a story that had outgrown its zip code. Eleanor had cleaned, but not staged. She refused to hide who she was. There were still library books in stacks near the reading nook, a half-done crossword on the kitchen counter, a sticky note from Gloria on the fridge that read, Don't apologize for surviving. Layla smiled as she clipped the mic to Eleanor's cardigan. Thank you for inviting us into your home. Eleanor nodded. It's just a porch and 4 walls. But the truth lives here. The interview started with soft pitches. How long have you lived in Columbus? Since 1976. I stayed because libraries don't move. They root. Layla smiled. Then the questions sharpened. When did you realize your grandson's posts had crossed a line? Eleanor didn't blink. When they stopped being private embarrassment and became public currency. Layla leaned in. What do you mean by that? I mean he wasn't just mocking me, he was monetizing me. My fall, my frailty, my cough. He turned my body into a billboard. And what do you want now? Eleanor's answer came like a blade wrapped in linen. I want people to look at their own behavior and stop confusing cruelty with charisma. There was a long pause. Then Layla asked softly, Do you forgive him? Eleanor looked toward the garden, where the wind moved the bushes like they were trying to speak. I forgive the boy he was, she said, but not the brand he tried to become. The segment aired at 6:30 p.m. Gloria and James came over to watch. They sat in Eleanor's living room, the blinds drawn, popcorn in a bowl that hadn't seen salt in years. Layla's voice came first. Tonight, we bring you the story of Eleanor Price, retired librarian, grandmother, and now, accidental advocate. The footage cut to Eleanor sitting by the window, light pouring in behind her like something cinematic. I'm not special, she said on screen. I just stopped being silent. The segment wove together her testimony, her original video, footage from the school board meeting, and small clips from her newer posts, her reading Goodnight Moon to toddlers, scanning a photo album into the cloud, even teaching someone in the comments how to archive family letters. The anchor's voice wrapped it all in a final note. In an age where going viral often means going too far, Eleanor Price reminds us that dignity doesn't beg to be seen, it just waits to be remembered. Gloria sniffed and pretended it was allergy. James didn't speak, just kept staring at the screen, as if trying to memorize the woman he thought he'd known, and was only just beginning to understand. By the end of the night, Eleanor's follower count had doubled, then tripled. Messages flooded in from retired nurses, estranged daughters, even a middle schooler who wrote, "My grandma has Parkinson's. I used to joke about her shaking. I deleted those videos today." "I'm sorry," Eleanor read the message twice, then closed her laptop. "I'm tired," she said softly. "You just changed someone's behavior," Gloria said. "Not with guilt. With gravity," Eleanor nodded. "That's how you know the story's working." As the night stretched into quiet, Gloria lingered by the front door, her coat draped over her arm. She turned back, watching Eleanor collect the empty mugs. "You know what Tyler built?" she said. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "A trap," Gloria replied. "For attention. And now you've used it against him without touching him." Eleanor smiled faintly, walked to the window, looked out at the dark yard lit by the porch light. "I didn't break him," she whispered. Gloria tilted her head. "Then what did you do?" Eleanor's voice was almost a hush. "I broke his game. It hit the internet just after midnight. No music, no edits, just Tyler. Hood down, face bare, sitting on the floor of his bedroom in grainy lighting. The camera shook slightly as he adjusted it, then settled. He looked hollowed out. Not the confident boy who once captioned videos with emojis and punchlines, but something closer to raw, or strategic. It was hard to tell. "So, I guess now I'm the bad guy, right? Cool. Everyone loves a villain. But let's talk about who made me." A pause. Then he continued. "You think my mom didn't know what I was posting?" She encouraged it. "She told me if people were laughing, I was doing something right. You think my dad stopped me? He was always working, or avoiding, or saying he didn't want drama. They didn't care what I was doing. Not really. Not until they got embarrassed. And then, my grandma? She's smart. She knew what she was doing with that video. And maybe I deserve this. But don't pretend like the rest of this family didn't help build the stage I fell off of." Then, a long pause. Tyler stared into the camera like he was daring it to blink first. "Anyway, you wanted honesty. That's what this is." The screen went black. And then, the algorithm went to work. By 8 a.m., the video had 2.6 million views. By 8:45, it was on Twitter, Reddit, and 2 local morning shows. By 9:30, Eleanor's phone buzzed with a text from Rachel Dupree. "Stay quiet. Let this breathe." At 9:31, Gloria called. "Have you seen it?" Eleanor hadn't responded yet. She was sitting at the kitchen table watching the sun rise through the window. Tea going cold again. "I have," she said softly. "And?" Eleanor exhaled. He finally turned the camera around. In Megan and James's house, the explosion was nuclear. "You blamed me?" Megan screamed, throwing Tyler's phone across the room. "Me? After everything I've done to protect you?" James sat on the couch, eyes unfocused. "Is it true?" he asked flatly. "Did you encourage him?" Megan spun. "Don't you dare put this on me. You've been checked out for years. You didn't notice anything until it hit you in the face." "You told him likes were currency," James snapped. "You told him to post more. To build a brand. And you told him nothing," she fired back. "You were too busy pretending everything was fine so you didn't have to deal with it." The house crackled with history. Every unspoken thing, every compromise, every time one of them looked away. "I don't even know who you are anymore," James said. Megan laughed bitterly. "I'm the one who stayed present, even when it was ugly, and I'm the one trying to clean it up." They stood there, 2 people buried under years of deferred consequences, while Tyler sat silently on the stairs, head low, listening to the fallout like it was a podcast he didn't remember subscribing to. Eleanor didn't text, didn't call, didn't respond to the reporters asking for comment. She didn't need to. Truth had its own legs now. She met with Rachel that afternoon in a quiet conference room near the courthouse. Rachel slid her a printout of the video transcript. "I don't think you have to push anymore," she said. "The foundation's cracking under its own weight." Eleanor nodded once. "Let it." Rachel leaned back. "You don't need to fight anymore. Truth fights itself." That night, Gloria showed up with wine. They sat on the porch under a fading sky, bottle between them, each sip a quiet victory. "You didn't break them," Gloria said. Eleanor looked up. "They broke themselves trying to outrun the truth." Eleanor didn't answer, but she raised her glass in silent agreement. Across town, James packed a bag. One duffel, one apology note, one final look at the hallway filled with framed memories that now felt like someone else's life. He didn't say goodbye to Megan. She didn't come downstairs. When he knocked on Eleanor's door an hour later, she opened it without a word and simply stepped aside. The spare bedroom hadn't been used in years. James stood in the doorway with a duffel bag slung over his shoulder, staring at the twin bed like it might judge him. Eleanor didn't offer comfort. She handed him clean sheets and pointed to the linen closet. "You know where everything is," she said. "I do," he replied, voice quiet. They didn't talk much that first week, just moved around each other, carefully, respectfully, like former strangers sharing old ground. James cooked most nights. Eleanor made tea every morning. Neither mentioned Megan. And Tyler? He was in a mandated juvenile counseling program downtown. Twice a week he sat in group sessions about accountability, consent, digital ethics. He didn't post anymore, didn't comment, didn't show his face outside of court-mandated places. Rachel had arranged it. Rehabilitation, she had said. Not revenge. Megan sent one message. "Tell your mother I hope she enjoys the applause. My son is in therapy because of her." James never replied. Eleanor, meanwhile, was thriving. Not loudly, but thoroughly. Her posture straightened. Her steps grew more certain. She stopped flinching at the sound of notification pings and started wearing earrings again. Her account, now verified, had quietly rebranded under a new name, at Grandma Resilient. She posted soft videos about boundaries, read excerpts from memoirs about survival, showed how to preserve handwritten recipes digitally. She partnered with a nonprofit that taught seniors how to spot online scams. A woman from Oregon mailed her a quilt. A student in Georgia wrote a poem titled "She Didn't Fold." By midweek, her follower count had crossed 750,000. One night, someone tagged her in a TikTok duet, an elderly man saying, "We don't fade, we forge." Eleanor watched it twice, saved it, then smiled without showing her teeth. "Do you realize what you're doing?" Gloria asked one afternoon while prepping envelopes. They were sitting at Eleanor's kitchen table, surrounded by flyers and name tags for an upcoming event Gloria had roped her into. "What's that?" Eleanor asked, cutting another length of ribbon. "You're shifting the narrative. You're turning an ugly viral joke into a long-term movement. You're making healing contagious." "I'm just speaking plainly," Eleanor said. "No," Gloria corrected gently. "You're speaking dangerously well. That's why people listen." They paused to watch the mock-up poster on Gloria's iPad. Storytime with Strength, a live conversation with Eleanor Price. Saturday, 4 p.m., Columbus Community Hall, hosted by the Coalition for Digital Responsibility. Gloria tapped the screen. "We sold out in 24 hours. People are showing up for a librarian," Eleanor said, blinking. "No, babe," Gloria said, beaming. "They're showing up for a blueprint." That night, Eleanor sat on her porch wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars through the crisp autumn air. The wind carried faint sounds from nearby yards. Kids laughing, a dog barking, the hum of a neighbor's TV. James stepped out, 2 mugs of tea in hand. He handed her one. They didn't speak right away. After a moment, he said, "You ever think you'd be famous?" She smiled. "I still don't think I am." "You are." Eleanor sipped her tea. "That's not what I wanted." "I know." James looked down. "But maybe it's what you earned." They sat in silence a little longer. Then James said, "I started therapy too." "Just so you know," Eleanor didn't react, just sipped. "Good," she said. The night before the speaking event, Eleanor posted a final clip. Her face was lit by soft lamplight, hair pinned up, a knit shawl over her shoulders. "I've been called a lot of things lately: hero, victim, icon. But I'm not any of those. I'm just someone who finally decided I wasn't going to disappear quietly. This story didn't start with a fall. It started with silence. And now, I'm not broken. I'm blueprint." She looked directly into the lens, not with defiance, but with design. Then the screen faded to black. The caption read, "Saturday. We speak louder. Together. The long game." The ballroom was larger than Eleanor expected. Vaulted ceilings, stage lighting that felt like summer sun, a camera crew on one side, rows of chairs stretching beyond the reach of her glasses, and above it all, a banner that read, "Digital Dignity, a national summit on online ethics." She stood behind the podium in a navy blouse and gray slacks. No pearls, no makeup crew, just her, a glass of water, and the weight of everything she'd survived. The applause began before she even spoke. A slow rise, then a wave. Not wild, not performative, grateful. She waited until the clapping settled into stillness. Then she leaned toward the mic and began. I'm not here as an expert, she said. A few chuckles. She waited. I'm here as the aftermath. She scanned the audience. Lobbyists, teachers, parents, policy advocates, influencers, survivors. My grandson filmed me falling down the stairs. He added sound effects, music, a laughing emoji. She paused. And then, the internet did what it does best. It applauded cruelty dressed as comedy. A silence settled again, but deeper this time. I could have vanished. I almost did. But then I remembered what I used to teach in libraries. Document everything, especially the bad parts. She gestured behind her. On the screen, her viral montage began to play. No voiceover this time, just the raw footage. Tyler laughing, edits, captions, view counts. The room shifted, eyes narrowed, jaws clenched. A few people murmured, "Oh my God." Then, her original narration layered in. This is my grandson. He posted these videos, he read the comments, and then he posted again. The screen went black. She turned back to the mic. I didn't make that video to punish him. I made it so the silence would stop being a shield. More silence, deeper now, settled. And when it went viral, she said, he wasn't the only one who shattered. So did the myth that older people have to just take it. That got quiet applause. And so, she said softly, I didn't vanish. The Q&A was cut short. The room had run over schedule. Afterward, attendees swarmed the stage, shaking her hand, asking for advice, thanking her. A senator's aide handed her a business card. A young woman wept while hugging her. Your voice helped me forgive mine, she said, pressing her phone against her chest like a prayer. Backstage, Gloria was already waiting with bottled water and a proud smile so wide it looked rehearsed. You turned humiliation into legacy, she said. Eleanor took the bottle, unscrewed it, and sipped. I just told the truth. No, Gloria said. You published it. Across the room, Rachel was speaking to a group of attorneys, holding a copy of Eleanor's court binder like it was a textbook. That night, they watched the news from the hotel room. The segment led with a headline, Retired Librarian Becomes Voice for Online Accountability. Clips rolled. Eleanor at the podium, a shot of her sitting in her garden. The original viral video, blurred but recognizable. The anchor called her an unexpected advocate whose fall became a national rise. James texted, You were incredible. Tyler watched it, quiet the whole time. Rachel emailed, We've had 6 legal clinics request to use your story for training. Gloria scrolled through hashtags on her phone. Grandma Resilient is trending again, she said. Even better. Someone made you a GIF. You're raising a mug like a damn queen. Eleanor smiled, soft and tired. She stood, stretched her arms, and walked to the balcony. The city shimmered below, cars and windows blinking like polite applause. Gloria joined her, leaning on the railing. You okay? She asked. Eleanor nodded. I am now. They watched in silence for a while. Then Eleanor said it, without fanfare, just fact. He filmed my fall, she said. A pause. Gloria looked at her. And? Eleanor's eyes didn't leave the skyline. I filmed his collapse. She turned back toward the room, the city, the story. And the video I posted broke him instead.